ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download.
Check this out, we got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
There we go here. Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it's that time of the week where we were going to talk some college football with Nick Hathcoat in the NCAA Insiders. It looks like he might be on assignment. If he comes in late, we'll bring him in the back door on the second half hour here. Good friend and colleague, Mr. Matthew George, back live from the Mecca. Talking some WNBA, get a temperature as I was, because of the weather delay, was locked and loaded in the U.S. Open women's semifinals as a great 3-set matches. Naomi loses in 3 sets. What a match that is today. I think Joker and Carlos are playing, and Sinner looks unstoppable right now. But we'll get to that. First and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download the app. And of course, AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Steak, seafood, chops, appetizers, wines. Terry Smith has it all. If you have any questions, head on over to Facebook. Introduce yourself there, follow him, and then tell him JD from ECSI sent you. So without further ado, Mr. Matthew George. What's up, Matthew?
Morning, Jeff. How are we doing?
We're doing great. Well, let's start with this. We're doing better than Caitlin Clark, and we've been doing shows here for a long time. Truthfully, the writing was on the wall. For me, it was why rush her back? Why create an injury to try to limp into the playoffs or try to make the playoffs and then re-injure and be out for the full year? Comes out yesterday. Caitlin Clark out for the year, sir.
Yeah, and it is unfortunate for her to actually try to make. I mean, she was trying to make a run. She did 5-on-0. Seemed like she was back on pace, like she was shooting the ball like lights out, like she usually does. But then the biggest thing, and then Coach and I did this in the podcast as well when he said this, she needs to be on a 5-on-5. That's the biggest thing, and she did not do that. 5-on-0 is not going to really do much because all they're doing is just drills. You're not doing actually like a 5-on-5 contact, having full contact into that kind of mix. So the Fever were trying to make a push while she was out. They're in the 8th seed right now. They're really basically in the last place to try to make a spot in for the playoffs. They're 21-20. They're a game and a half over the Sparks, who are in 9th place right now, and the Fever is in 8th with 21-20 wins, 21 wins and 20 losses. So this is the time that either the Fever should just take a step back, or either that or just try to solidify themselves into a playoff spot and then just wait for next season. Because Caitlin Clark, obviously, as we know, not to mention she is the media aspect of the WNBA, but she also is the biggest face in the WNBA right now. And that also sucks because, the viewership is going to go down. But I don't think that's going to be the case because that's how everything's been going around. So it sucks for the Fever. It is unfortunate for Caitlin Clark for the rest of the season, but this is the best turnaround. And next season she'll definitely be better going forward, and hopefully she can maintain her body and maintain herself so she could be ready for the full 2026 season.
Well, the next lead in Aces making a run, 13-game winning streak. Is it enough to compete with the Lynx come playoff time?
Yeah, and a very surprising end to the season for the Aces. Now they did do this last year. Last season in 2024, they had that same kind of run where they had where they won 8 straight. Now it's even better, and they have now 13 straight, as Jeff mentioned. So this is the time for the Aces to step up because the Liberty have dropped off. Everyone's in the middle of the pack right now. They are now currently second as of right now in the league. This is the time for them to be stepping up right now, but I don't know if it's enough for them to compete against the best team in the league, in my opinion. And I say everyone says right now, in the Minnesota Lynx. They're in contention for a title. They were trying to get revenge over their last season struggle against the Liberty in last year's finals. So the Lynx are on a mission. The Aces are basically stepping up and trying to make themselves into a playoff team, and they've seemed to have meshed together and now have been on this roll. Can it be? Can it continue? That's the biggest situation, especially now going into the playoffs. So they're in a good position now. Let's see how AJ Wilson and the company can actually continue that going forward, especially when playoff time comes around in a couple of weeks.
And you mentioned it. What's wrong with the Liberty? Lost 6 of their last 10, now fifth in the league.
Yeah, that's not looking good for the Liberty. They were once favorites of winning the title this year, and it's not looking good right now because Sabrina Ionescu is not really shooting the ball well. Not same goes for Brianna Stewart. She's having her worst career in 3-point percentage, and this team has just been dealt with so many injuries and trying to fit some people, some women in the rotation, and all of that. So it's just been a mixed bag of nuts for the team overall. They are contending for a playoff spot no matter what happens. They're in the playoffs, but this does not look good going forward for the defending champs. They need to step up on their offense. Their defense also needs to step up if they want to defend their title, and it's not looking good so far because they've lost six of the last 10 games, and their offense has just been struggling for the majority of this run. So if they want to do that, if they want to compete for another championship, something's got to happen, and either that or this head coach or the head coach for the Liberty, see yourself out of here.
It's going to be interesting. Again, it's football season, and everyone, it doesn't matter what's going on in the rest of the world. Everyone is just so locked in. They've been waiting 6 months for football, which we know is headline news every day of the year. Here it doesn't sleep. But again, the playoffs, maybe the switch comes on. We'll have to wait and see. Again, viewership, of course, will be down. No Caitlin Clark. Will be interesting. Minnesota obviously will be a tough out, but we'll be talking throughout the weeks of the playoffs as we get closer there. You sit down last night. You're all excited for Philadelphia and Dallas. It's finally kicking off, and here we go. Jalen Carter slid in the drafts because off the field issues, sometimes can act a little quirky. Philly got a stud, and they're the NFL version of the Georgia defense. There, spits on Dak Prescott, immediately ejected. What's the world coming to in your mind? And a recap of the Dallas Philly game, 24-20. That's all anyone's talking about is this. 41 points scored in the first half. If you had over 46 and a half, you're already waiting at the window to cash it. And I talk about it as a horse race, where in a horse race, you break out of the gate, you position yourself, and then once you catch your stride, you can't get boxed in. If you get boxed in and got to pull back on the reins, your horse isn't going to refire. Well, in the NFL, you play a first half. Neither defense could stop each other, 21-20 at the half. Then you have the halftime adjustments. You come back, you try to get relathered, Then an hour plus rain lightning delay stops it. No one else scores. 24-20 recap of the game, and of course Jalen Carter.
Yeah, and it was a great game overall. I think the same for the overall for the game, but I think that, as you mentioned, the first half was just, very entertaining to say the least, because with the way that the offenses were playing against each other, especially especially Dallas is striking first with the Javante Williams rushing touchdown. I mean, it was all hell breaking loose, and then you see Philadelphia stepping up again. So it's it was very interesting to see that. First and foremost, I feel like this is going to be talked about very very much as well. On this, again, this is only week one, but a lot of people are going to be talking about, oh, AJ Brown only got targeted once throughout the entire game. Well, the defense played well against AJ Brown because he's one of the best receivers in the league. And not to mention, he's always going to be covered no matter what. So, Dallas did a great job in defending AJ Brown, and he only got one reception for like what, 8 yards or something like that, 8 or 6 yards. That was towards the end of the game, and not to mention that, like, basically what they established is that, okay, we are not doing much on the passing aspect of things, where Jalen Hurts was just like, okay, I'll run the ball or just give it to my best running back in the league, in Saquon Barkley. And that's what they did last night. Jalen, I mean, he rushed for 2 touchdowns, and you see that how effective he could be with running the ball himself with Jalen Hurts. Out of that, you could just hand it off to Saquon Barkley, and he does the rest. So the offense were definitely stepping up, and then obviously the Jalen Carter situation. I mean, I can you can't even say this is even a rookie like decision or whatever. It's just you can't precedent these kind of things, because you have to I said this on Twitter. I said this on X. You have to set an example for the league, because you are the defending, not to mention the defending champs. You are one of the best defenders in the league, and you're doing this kind of nonsense, like, and it's like before the first snap of the game. Like, what is wrong with that? Like, you can't be doing that, and especially if you're trying to establish yourself as a Super Bowl champion. Get this kind of ego out of the way and just compete to try to win games. That's all it's said and done. Leave all the ego nonsense out of the way. So it seemed like a bad start coming out of the gate, for the Eagles, because of this, because they lost their best defender, and then just Dallas came out of the water and ran the run game against them, and they scored a touchdown right in the first like 5 minutes of the game. But then everything slowed down. So this is very interesting to see how everything goes, for the future for Jalen Carter, of course, because in my opinion, I think he's going to get suspended for the next like game or two, and then he gets a heavy fine. And then for the Eagles going forward and seeing how this offense can actually stack up against the league, because they're basically having the target on their back, because obviously they're the Super Bowl champions. But as mentioned, they're one of the best teams in the league right now.
NFL expectations. Matthew Golden. High expectations. Houston Lions. Under win totals. Jets and Giants.
I think this is going to be the one of the better seasons for the Packers. And I'm saying this every time. Matthew Golden, obviously, as we mentioned, is the first. There's one of the first wide receivers that the Packers have got in a very long time in terms of wide receivers. So this is the time for Matthew Golden to step up into this rookie role, with alongside Jordan Love, and just be able to go out of the water and say, hey, we are trying to establish ourselves as an offense and be one of the best teams in the league. And I think Matthew Golden can definitely be that good addition to this offense of Green Bay. And that's what I'm hoping to at least have like what, a 800 to 900 to even possibly even a 1,000-yard season for Matthew Golden. There's a very high expectation for a rookie, but this is why they drafted him. The expectations are very high because of that, and they want to establish themselves as a force in the league, because obviously they're in one of the toughest divisions in the league, in terms of the Green Bay Packers. Now, in terms of the expectations, I'm expecting a bigger jump if, with Houston and with Houston and Detroit. Houston, of course, because CJ Stroud, I believe, is one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and I think that the way that he's been able to, step up every single year, it now becomes a factor of, okay, can keep the consistency going, especially leading Houston to a playoff situation. It hasn't looked good for the past 2 years, obviously because of barring wide receiver injuries, and just the aspect of him also getting injured himself. So he needs to stay healthy. The wide receiver aspect needs to stay healthy as well, so they can actually be, a force in the league. And Houston in general, their defense is still pretty good. So you need them to step up for this season. As in terms of the aspect for the Lions, I mean, they did so well. It's just a matter of just like their division is so tough that only one could be in contention for the division title, and also making themselves known in the conference to solidify themselves to win a Super Bowl. And it's not been easy. It has not been easy for this team. So the whole thing is now, can Jared Goff, be the man, can step up again, and obviously, the 1-2 punch of Jameer Gibbs and David Montgomery, I believe, in my opinion, is the best 1-2 punch running back duo in the league. So I mean, I don't think any one of those two can stop them, because you have a tank in David Montgomery, and then Jameer Gibbs could just go Speedy Gonzalez like crazy. So this is the year for the Lions to step up and see how they can do for the season. Because if they could top what they did last year, and then also compete for Super Bowl, I don't think there's any chance in the world that anyone else can stop them. Lastly, it's not looking good in New York. I don't know what's gonna expect for this team, for both the Giants and the Jets. It's just a whole mess and a half. We'll see how Justin Fields does and Russell Wilson do for the respective teams. But I'm in my opinion, and I'm just talking from a New York perspective. The whole reason of you wanting to of this team, these both of these teams trying to step up and make themselves known in the league, it's not happening. So where is everything gonna come from New York? I don't know. I'm taking the win total under for both of these teams until we see some kind of improvement. Obviously, again, only week one. We'll see how everything goes for the rest of the season, but it's not looking good in New York. Not at all.
WNBA tonight. There is three games. LA travels to Atlanta. Atlanta 5.5 point favorites right now. Opened at 7. A 169.5 under over. Chicago travels to Indiana. Indiana -11 with a 161. And New York travels to Seattle. Right now, excuse me, Seattle -1.5 and a 162.5. And just reading the market. We talked about the New York Liberty losers of 6 of 10. That one smells to high heaven to me. Kind of surprised with Atlanta, 5.5 point favorites. It did open at 7. There's only one way that line could go, so keep your eyes on Atlanta there. But you have some props for everyone here today.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason why the Sparks and Dream lines have gone down a little bit is because that I saw today earlier that Alicia Gray is out for this game. So that's why the lines come down a little bit, because she's also one of the bigger focal points of the offense for the Atlanta Dream. So now it's Ryan Howard's turn to step up. So that's why we're going to take her first in terms of the prop betting. So first off, it's going to be Ryan Howard in terms of the Sparks, and in terms of the Sparks and Dream, 15 plus points at -290, because obviously it's a heavy juice number. But I think that this is the reason why she could step up for this season. She's definitely been averaging over 16 points a game, and in her last 4 games she has gone over that number. So the last 4 straight games, that's why she's been stepping up, because Alicia Gray has been out. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that she can still step up as well. Aaliyah Boston, we're going with her against the Sky. I mean, the Sky is one of the worst teams in the league, obviously. So there's no real. I mean, obviously, there's again the Fever is still trying to win, try to compete for a playoff spot. As we mentioned before with Jeff, that they are in the eighth seed right now. So Aaliyah Boston definitely needs to step up, not just in the and just in the points perspective, but also from a rebounding perspective. So with her getting A plus rebounds at minus 235, it is a very step up for her to step up this season, and she's definitely been doing that. So and she's gotten that number within 3 out of the last 4 games. And lastly, Nneka Onwumike, 15 plus points. I mean, this is definitely a no brainer. Again, same scenario. 3 out of the last 4 games, she's hit this number, and also she's facing off against the Liberty have been struggling. So she will definitely. So in my opinion, I think she'll definitely step up to solidify a win for the Seattle Storm, because they have been the better team. They definitely been the better team compared to the Liberty, and don't be surprised in how much of a fall off that the Liberty have gone, especially now of late. So 15 plus points for Nick Nakunowe and minus Nick Nwuke at minus 290. And then you can see there they could parlay these three, since the previous parlays since the previous bets are all heavily juiced. You can parlay all of them for a plus 157, so you can get some plus money in your pocket for these WNBA slate tonight.
Okay, and then we'll move on to the NFL. You got a big Sunday ahead. What do your eyes see there?
Absolutely. So tonight is another big matchup. Obviously, the lone game tonight against the Chiefs and the Chargers, and then I got some other ones as well for Sunday, because there's, I mean, obviously we have the full slate. It's week one. It's going to be a very entertaining season with everything going on. Now it's going to be a very interesting way to see how everything unfolds. So first off, for the Chiefs and the Chargers. I'm not saying this from just a fantasy perspective, because I do have Land McConkey, but this is obviously going to be the biggest step up for Land McConkey coming into this season. He will definitely step up because he's going to be the number one option for Justin Herbert. So we're taking both of them. We're taking both of them together. At 60 plus yards for Lad McConkey and minus 198, and Justin Herbert to get to 100 plus yards and minus 280. Those are very heavy. But that's the reason why that the Chargers are. I feel like the Chargers are going to step up, even though they get facing off against the Chiefs. It's I don't know how the Chiefs are going to step up this season. I think they might regress just a little bit because of how everything's been stacking up on their offense, so they have to heavily rely on the defense. Obviously, as we mentioned, Rasheed Rice is obviously dealing with some other issues as well. We're gonna go with Jaden Daniels at plus with 200 plus yards at minus 250 as well, because I mean, obviously, again, Jaden Daniels is facing in my opinion, one of the worst teams in the league in the Giants, unless they've proved something. So Jaden Daniels could definitely step up. I think this is going to be a big year for Washington in general. Now that you have solidified Terry McLaurin into an extension, he's got his money. So now everything is basically calm in the waters with Washington. They have to step up this season, because I think what they showed last year is what they can lead into this season as well. So we're gonna go with Jaden Daniels with 200 plus yards, because I think it's gonna have a great season. For the Lions against the Packers, I'm all with the Packers because of my expectations for them. We're going with Josh Jacobs as an anytime touchdown with minus 170, and then with Matthew Golden, we're gonna take it lightly with 30 plus receiving yards at minus 330. But the reason why I do this, because we'll see how everything unfolds with how he's going to fit into the Green Bay offense, and seeing how many times he gets targeted by Jordan Love. That'll determine how much, how many snaps he's going to be a part of, how many plays he's going to be a part of, and if he's going to get targeted, and how many times he's going to really get covered. So we'll see how he does against the Lions, especially since this is a big matchup. Lastly, we'll take CJ Stroud with two plus passing touchdowns at plus 160 against the Rams. It is a very tough task for one of the better teams in the league, especially since their defense has been really good. But I think over the years with CJ Stroud, he's only gotten better. And this is the time to step up for Houston, because this is going to be a big focal point because you lost Tank Dell because of a gruesome injury last season in the playoffs. And now you have to step up with losing Stephon Diggs, and now you have to rely on Nico Collins a little more. But this now has to be the step up time for CJ Stroud so he can solidify himself into a playoff spot. This is the time for Houston to do it, and I think it's the season.
Lastly, I know you're downtown in the Mecca, you're in New York City, and the Jets and Giants are getting ready to kick off on Sunday to start their season. Mets, Yankees, both battling for playoff spots. I just want, and I brought it up on the last show that we did. You either love it or you hate it, and that's the U.S. Open in tennis. And the fact of the matter, I talked about the matchup that I watched last night, the ladies semis this afternoon and this evening. You get the men's semis, and for people that aren't in New York City on Labor Day weekend or this weekend and understand the buzz, and when you watch it on TV, all the stars that are out there, is there still a buzz or a flair of the U.S. Open going on, or is everyone more concentrated Mets, Yankees, Jets, Giants?
I think this is still a big aspect for tennis, especially with the U.S. Open, because not only is it's also across the street from, it's just right across the street from the Mets from the Met Stadium, so like from City Field. So it's I think the way that the sport has been transpiring, it's been getting a lot of traction, especially since what are the better stars the better stars that are stepping up, especially like Coco Gauff, even though she got eliminated by Naomi Osaka. You know, herself has mentioned Naomi Osaka, who also just got eliminated, which is kind of crazy. But the aspect of how how these players are stepping up, it's getting a lot of traction, and everything that going on with the U.S. Open. I think that I don't think it's any precedent of them having much of a bigger aspect going forward, because the way that they're playing right now, the way that their sport has been progressing, I think it's been going pretty decently well, and how everything has been covered as well. The way that everything has been, transpiring, that's how they're getting, the viewerships, they're getting the sponsorships, and that's how they've been able to step up as players because they're playing well and they're playing with poise as well. So I think that where they're sitting right now, it's been pretty good. Not to mention also that Sablinka is actually still in the mix right now. So she is, because if I'm not mistaken, Sablinka is also has a deal with Nike as well. So she's definitely having those kind of sponsorship as well. So it's good to see that these players are having the notoriety and the publicity that not a lot of players, not slash a lot of like teams in the league are getting more of, because we see like golfers like Rory McIlroy, John Rahm, Bryson DeChambeau, those guys in the PGA like go getting a lot more notoriety compared to like tennis players. But with these like Djokovic and Naomi Osaka and Coco Gauff and Sablinka, like these players are actually now getting into the mix as well. So it's a very big step up, and it's a very good thing to see for tennis actually going forward. And we'll see how it goes, especially with now the competition really stepping up, because now we now know who's going to be in the finals, which is Sablinka and Amanda I can't say her last name, but excuse me for saying that. But we'll see how they do. It's going to be a very interesting matchup with the one seed against the 8 seed. It's going to be very interesting.
Final question. Mr. Parlay wants to know Chargers Chiefs. Who scores first touchdown? First two
Oh
touchdowns.
boy. Uh I'm sticking with my gut with Lamb McConkey, because they know that, because I think that what they need to do is solidify their offense very early. Because if we know against the Chiefs is always difficult every time, no matter if they're on the road or at home, Kansas City. So it's the Chargers who step up first, and it's Lamb McConkey that gets the first touchdown for the season for the Chargers.
Everyone knows, of course, where to follow you on Twitter, but you got so much going on the sports grid. I always throw you the last lob here. Tell everyone where they can find all your work, Matthew.
Yep. Again, the coach James Young and I do a podcast every single week talking basketball, with college hoops and the WNBA wrapping up this season, and the NBA coming up very soon. So make sure to tune into that every Thursday that gets released. We record Wednesday, so we'll be back to twice a week very soon towards the end of the month. And then Coach Terry Bowden and Joe Lisi do a podcast twice a week. We record Tuesday and Thursday, and then we release the next day. We're previewing each week and recapping we recapped week one of the college football slate. Obviously, with the biggest one of Ohio State taking down Texas and Florida State. My goodness, taking down Alabama. That was absolutely nuts. With Nick Castellanos and company actually stepping up as well. So we'll see how they do the rest of the season for both teams respectively. And obviously, check out throughout the entire week and weekend with in-game live with Scott Wetzel and Gabe Morency, and then Gabe Morency over the weekends covering all aspects of the baseball, NFL season coming up right tonight, and also throughout the season with the WNBA. So be sure to tune into all of those. And again, as Jeff mentioned, if you missed any of my plays that we mentioned today, be sure to follow me on MG_28 MG28 Sports, because everything is going to be following up there, and we'll see how the rest of the season goes.
Well, a great week. Glad you're back. Next week, we'll be live Monday, Tuesday. I'll be wheels up 7 a.m. Wednesday, heading to Panama City Beach for a food truck festival with partner Anthony Pepe on Saturday. So keep an eye on our show schedules there. Otherwise, it's been a great week. So for myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Investor, the one and only Mr. Matthew George, we wish everyone a blessed weekend. Enjoy all the action. Guys, stay in your lanes. It's the first week of the NFL. These lines have been out for 3 months. Be careful. Wait till week 2 so we're on an even playing field. Enjoy the college football action. Enjoy your tennis. Have some fun with the NFL, and we'll see you soon.